Hey guys, welcome back again. So, in this episode, we'll be learning about UX laws. Okay, so this will be in episode 3 of front end engineering, and we'll be learning about the UX laws. And what is this UX laws, and is it something related to React, or is it something related to JavaScript, or is it something related to what we do with state management and stuff like that? No. Okay, so we'll keep React and all those things aside for today. We'll focus on something that's more of theoretical. Okay, not only theoretical but also like an ideology. Okay, so once I'm done with this, you'll actually think, okay, this actually makes sense. Okay, so let's get started. The first law, right? So before going jumping to the first law, what exactly is the UX law? So when you say UX, right, the UX is short form for user experience. Okay, what is user experience? So if you build an application, it might be web or mobile, whatever it is, and if the user is using it, that's what user experience is. And they might have a very good experience using your app, or they might have a bad experience. Like for example, you might have application that has a really good error handling. Okay, it shows all the errors properly, it shows the backup options properly, and it shows proper loading indication. It properly loads up all the contents on the screen. Okay, the user doesn't have to click so much buttons or refresh the page or something like that. That's a good user experience. What is bad user experience? Let's say you forgot to handle any error. So whenever there's an error, your app crashes and there's a blank white screen. That's a bad experience because the user doesn't know what's happening behind the scene, right? They don't care like what what library you're using to make an API call. Are you optimizing, or are you trying to stop the re-rendering of the components or whatever it is? Unless and until you don't handle it, they don't care. Correct? And then let's say you try to come up with your own layouts, right? Their own creative layouts and everything, like the one that you see on Instagrams and all, right? The hypothetical layouts, like the color going like this, the gradients falling in and all those stuff. They look good in designs, but when you build it in application, it doesn't look good because not every device is capable of loading them properly. Not every person will have a really good internet connection. I mean, you can build it. You might have to handle those things. Like if the internet connection is not good, you can preload a couple of assets or something like that. But it will lead to bad user experience. Okay, so if you don't do those stuff, so how can we avoid these things? So what are the standards to follow when you're building an application? So here are a couple of things. So this law of UX will teach you some standards. Okay, it can be a mobile app or web app. I'm talking in general. Okay, so let's say you have this idea to build an application, maybe a startup app or maybe your own SaaS product or something. So this laws will teach you some standard, like give you some standard guidelines on how to build your app. Okay, so let's just scroll and learn about four laws. Okay, four important laws. There are so many laws, trust me, but we'll learn the top popular four. The first one is Jacob's law. So what does Jacob's law teach you? So can you see the picture here? So if you see the picture here, I think the first one is I'm not sure, Walmart, I guess, right? There's a simple sketch on top. We have a logo, a search bar, an account, and a card button, right? And if you scroll down, I mean, if you see the down, we have a Walmart nav bar, which is similar. We have a logo, search bar, and couple of buttons, which is the user and a card. And the Amazon logo, search bar, accounts, and card. There are a couple of options in between. You can skip that because try to identify the common elements here. Okay, and again we have eBay, we have search bar, and we have action buttons here: search bar, login, card. So you can see all these are different people, right? All these are different companies. All these have their own businesses. But why do they have similar structure? Because all these four are e-commerce application, right? I go there to buy things. And if I go to Amazon, right? Let's say I'm a die hard user of Amazon. I keep using Amazon for every single thing. But for some reason, when I went to Amazon, I didn't find a product, but I found the same product on eBay or Flipkart. Now, if I go to eBay or Flipkart, and if their UI is different, it'll be a bit hard for me to adapt. Like I have to search for, okay, where is the search bar? Where is the button? Where is my card? Where is my user profile? right? I have to do all those searching. That's not a good thing, because I'm already a user of Amazon, and if I come to your app, being an e-commerce app, you have to give me the same user experience so that the user will adapt to your website faster. So if you keep things like hidden, or if you keep things in your own way, the user will find it really hard to process, to go along the screen, and they might end up like leaving your website. They might not come back again because they'll remember that the website was horrible. Okay, so this is what Jacob's law teaches you. So if you're building something that's already out there, try to implement the same layout, not exactly like, not do not include like 100% exact UI elements or UI designs to your app. Try to keep common elements so that the CTA can be accessed. When I say CTA, it's call to action. Okay, it's called call to action. Now we have the search bar is CTA here. It's an important CTA, because when you come to e-commerce application, the first thing you would do is search an application. Search your product, right? So that's the reason search bar should be on top always. It should be visible to the user. It should call out to the user saying that, hey, come here, search. That's what call to action is. Okay, and similarly cart as well. Okay, for cart you can have like a big cart button or simple icon, that works, but you have to show them properly. So you have to show like a cart icon here. If you show icon, make sure to add like a badge on top, like with 0 elements, 0 items, or 1 item, 2 items, so that it stands out from the rest of the icons. So for example, here you can see eBay has some notification icon as well, and the cart icon as well. So if you add a badge here on top, right, saying that okay, 0 item in cart, 1 or 2, this will stand out. Okay, you can do something like that. So try to keep this thing in mind whenever you're designing your application or trying to build out of an inspiration. So always try to see if there's a competitor out there which is building similar for the similar market. If it does, see what is the user base. If they have a less user base, fine, you can experiment with your own layouts. If they have a really good user base, okay, try to adopt some of the predefined layout which is working for them, so that your users who is going to come to your application doesn't have to juggle between all the components that you have. Okay, that's what Jacob law is. And now moving to Fitz law. Fitz law is simple. Fitz law is actually great. So what Fitz law says is, make it simple for the user. Okay, do not for the user to navigate. Okay, and click. Here I'm taking an example of mobile app. This also applies for the PC as well. Okay, so here you can see we have a checkout screen on the left here. What does this checkout screen do? You can see the buy option is on top. Okay, so here imagine you are actually holding this screen in your hand. Okay, now if you validate this checkout screen, right, and you're okay with it and you want to proceed to buy, now what happens? Okay, how easy it is if you click on buy like this, or how easy it is for you to go on top and click on buy, or maybe you have to do something like this. It's really hard, right? If the buy button is not reachable for your thumb. That's the Fitz law rule. Okay, so what Fitz law says is that keep the CTA buttons, or keep the buttons which have these important action right at the thumb of the user. Okay, in case if it's a web app, easy to navigate. Okay, so that's what Fitz law says. For example, if we take the checkout screen in PC screens, so let's say we have something like this. Oh, where is that? I think I've removed one of the website here. Etc. Alright. So if you take a screen like this, right? Let's say this is the PC screen. Okay. And okay. Right. And then let's say we have some content here. Okay, we have some content here, and this is where we have checkout. Okay, so now we have nav bar on top as well. So we have, let's say we have nav bar on top. So here I can see my product, okay, which I'm trying to check out. And then we have, you can see all the details and everything. So now don't you guys think if the checkout button is somewhere around here? Okay, if the checkout button is somewhere around here, let's mark this as blue. Okay, if the checkout button is here, don't you think as a PC user, I can just verify my product, I can verify all my payment methods, my address and everything, click on checkout here. Okay, but what if the checkout button is over here on top? It's not a good, it's not an issue though, but it's a bad user experience because now not only I have to check all my product details here, I have to navigate to top and then click it. That's the issue. Okay, it works. Your application wise, your feature works, but the user experience wise, you're breaking the Fitts law. Okay, if the Fitts law says that your button should be very near to the user so that they can easily click that or easily use that. Okay, not only buttons, it applies to everything. Okay, for example, here you can see the second screen, the checkout button is at the bottom, but the thumb is easily accessible. So just click on purchase, and similarly you have this icons here. So you might have seen this a lot. So let's say you have icons, right, and you have a text as well along with it. So if that icon is clickable, you have to make sure that the entire area is clickable. Okay, so meaning that if you just make this let me get a pencil. Yes, so if you just make this, let's say this is the entire button you have. Okay, not like a button, just like an element. And if this icon is clickable, make the text as well clickable, so that if the user clicks on this graph, it has to basically call the on click, the click handler function. Okay, if you just make this icon only clickable and then this as blank, when the user clicks on this text, nothing happens. Though they might get the feeling like, okay, it's not working, something like that. Okay, and this applies for checkboxes as well. So if you can see, right, let's say you have a checkbox like this, remind me in authentication and everything. You might see this, right? So let's say you have this radio button, and usually in HTML radio button, the mistake people make is they forgot this for attribute. Okay, they forgot this for attribute, which makes this label completely different from the radio. Okay, which should not be the case. This label should be related to the radio. So when I click on this text, remind me, it should activate this radio. It should basically make that check. If I click on this radio, it should basically make that check. If I click on this text as well, it should activate it. That's the good user experience. You getting what I'm saying? So remember Fitts law and make sure to keep your elements as near as possible, and also make sure to follow this one as well. Whenever you're having these clickable icons, clickable elements, if they have a label attached to it, make sure they are clickable as well. Okay, so that there's a wide area for clickable so the people can easily click it. Okay, that's Fitts law for you. And coming to Hix law. Hix law is also very simple. These laws are really simple. They're just like teeny improvements that will just compound and then make your app so much better. So what is Hix law? You can see the image, right? So we have two remotes here. So which one is easy to use? Both are easy to use, right? They just fit in your palm, you just use it. But which one helps you make your decision better? The second one, right? Second one has just few options. You can just decide on what it is real quick. Okay, you can come to the decision real quick. But what about this one? It has a lot of buttons. You have to see, okay, what does this button do? What if I click this button? What happens? How do I come back? What do I do here? It just gives you these questions, right? Yeah, you'll be coming up with question rather than a decision. That's Hix law. Okay, what Hix law is that keep your design so minimal that user can make the decision in seconds, not minutes. Okay, they'll come to a decision, they'll not come up with questions. That's what Hix law is. And we have a Google screen here, right? So you can see the Google screen. How simple is that? Do you see anything there? It's really easy to make a decision, right? So I come to Google. What do I want to do? I want to search. Where is search bar? Here is a search bar. Type that, hit enter, there you go. Do you want to do voice search? Click on that voice button. Do you want to do image search? Click on that image button. There you go. This doesn't actually, I won't get any questions when I use this, right? And I can make the decision in seconds. This is what Hix law is. So your design should help user to come up with a decision faster rather than coming up with the questions faster. Okay, that's what Hix law says. And the what you can do here is, whenever you're building an application, try to keep minimal things on the screen. Okay, if show only the important stuff, Okay, hide so many things. The best example would be your you can think about dashboards. Okay, dashboard is something that will have a lot of data. Okay, and you'll have to come up with a really good judgment what to show on the screen, what not to show on the screen. So try to ask yourself, does this data is relevant to the user? And you'll beginners would obviously say yes. Okay, if you're getting started with this one, you'll obviously say yes, okay, this is related. But just see how would you fit in the screen. Okay, how are you trying to fit that in the screen? So if you're trying to build a grid, okay, grid of 4 elements, try to keep it 4, do not go with 6. Okay, so if you're building a dashboard where it's something like this, right? So let's say you have a nav bar over here and a sidebar over here, and if you're building grids, try to keep the grid with 4 elements. Okay, with 4 elements, something like this. Okay, do not go with something like this here, one one one, like this is actually really bad. This is a lot of data. Okay, and it's kind of really bad. Okay, and if it do this unless and it is required. Okay, usually most of the dashboard follows for 2 column grid rules because it's really easy to show the data and everything. And if they want the data, they'll have some links like learn more or read more or get more or something like that. When they click on that, they'll show more insights. But dashboards should be like applications like dashboard will tend to have like a lot of data, and they follow these type of rules to minimize it, to keep it minimal. Okay, so try to follow this. And this example can be with Google Analytics. Google Analytics has a lot of data, and those guys show a lot of things on the UI for you. So it's up to you guys to come up with judgments. Okay, but make sure you guys don't break Hix law, because this will give you a bad user experience. Okay, if you guys break Hix law. Okay, and coming up again, we have one last law, that is Miller's law. So what is Miller's law? Miller's law is actually Miller's law actually makes sense. What Miller's law says is, okay, you can only show users up to 7 or less items. Okay, you can only have users remember up to 7 or less items. Here 7 is not like a standard number, it's just like a assumption. You can say like -2, like 5 items. So if you show like 100 options on the screen at once, user doesn't remember anything. But if you show less than or equal to 7 options on the screen at once, user will almost all the user will remember up to 5 to 6 elements there. So that's what's happening here. So we have like forget the text of sign up form and sign up form here. Just remember these are like list of items. Okay. So if I just show them everything at once, okay, so they will have a hard time to remember those stuff. They will have a lot of time to navigate and everything, because their mind will already start racing through all these options. Their mind will already start to try grouping them. Okay, so their mind will be busy in racing on through all these lists and grouping them and categorizing them so that it can remember. By the time they'll start remembering it, they'll just be out of the application already, because we know like how our attention span is, right? So we'll be using this. If I don't like it, I'll just skip it. That's how the modern human being brain attention is. So we have to make sure that we do this job for them. So what we do is, we either show them a good curated list of a small amount of content, which can be less than 5 or less than 7 or equal to 7, or we can show like a grouped content. So if you have a really long list and there's no way that you can only show a couple of them, you can group it like this. So once you group it and categorize it, the user's brain doesn't have to do that for them. They can start focusing on remembering the content. Okay, and the best thing you can do here is collapsible. So you can basically collapse them. So you know collapsible, right? In your VS Code, you can collapse your directories and everything. You can do like that. Okay, I mean, think about that. What if your VS Code, when you open a VS Code, what if it just shows you all the list of files and folders directly? Just long list of files and folders in your left side tab. I mean, it's hard to remember, right? Hard to navigate as well, right? So what does VS Code do? It will show you the initial files and all the folders are collapsed. And if you want to see what's inside the folder, you have to open it, okay, and then go inside that, and then you can collapse it again. That makes a really good user experience, so that it shows you less content on the screen. It doesn't overwhelm you with all the options available. That's what Miller's law for you. Okay, so these are the 4 UX laws, guys, and these are really really important UX laws. And it's not like there's no fixed rules that these you have to follow these things. Okay, and as a developer it's not our job to do it. Okay, so these actually applies for designers, right? And the reason I'm actually including this here is because I know so many of you guys would love to design as well. Okay, you guys would love to go play around with Figma, design your own UI and everything, right? I know that. So that's the reason I thought maybe I'll include this, because at least you will know. And let's say you guys join to a company like a startup or something, and you have like a designer who is working with you guys, and you can find out these mistakes. And if the designer, let's say for some reason they're not familiar with these laws and they're trying to come up with their own creative design, you can say, hey, look, okay, so we're trying to build a similar application where we already have a competitor out in the market who have a really good user. So we have to try to follow Jacob's law and keep the UI layouts bit similar. And you can also point out Fitts law, saying that Fitts law actually applies for developers as well, okay, and the designers as well. So you can tell them like, hey, look, the checkout screen seems to be violating Fitts law, so please try to keep it aligned. So you can point out that. Okay, so that's the reason I thought of including the UX law here and teaching you guys about how to judge the UI. Okay, it's not only about colors and shapes, it's also about psychology. Okay, so that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys had a really great time, and let me know. Okay, if you guys have any doubts, drop in the comments, or also you can reach out to us in the Duolearn engineering group. I'm already available there. You guys can drop a message over there as well. It's a WhatsApp group. And don't forget to join Discord as well. I'll be active on Discord, so you can ping me over there as well. Okay, so with that said, we'll meet in the next episode. Bye.